Video games, just like any other art form, can easily date themselves. I'd argue that video games are the most susceptible medium to the unforgiving passing of time. Their controls, their graphics, and their awesome titles are all just waiting to be part of some BuzzFeed article in 20 years. While some may fight the inevitable, there's one game developer who embraces the iPhone 5 and whatever this 2013 Tumblr aesthetic is: Rockstar Games. With their detailed maps and love for pop culture, Rockstar creates a time capsule with every Grand Theft Auto game they release. The maps in Grand Theft Auto don't receive any updates, at least not drastically. Los Santos has basically been the exact same since 2013. Los Angeles, on the other hand, has not. Houses are always being built, shopping centers are always being redone, and things are just changed for the sake of making more traffic. Having Los Santos remain unchanged for almost 10 years may be a downside to some people, but in this context, I think it could be a really interesting thing. I'm sure many of us have specific memories associated with certain parts of the map. For example, I remember having crazy standoffs at this particular convenience store. I remember always going to this area to get helicopters for my friends and I to ride in. I also remember when we would try to get a really high wanted level and flee using the train, but it would always stop here for an incredibly intense 5 minutes. We would also try to parachute and land on the train, which never worked, and I will never forget the amount of tries it took us to get on the damn thing by foot. I could probably just spend the rest of this video going to locations in any GTA game and sharing memories, but that's beside the point. This whole map of polygons and crude jokes hasn't changed since my friends and I started playing. The locations where we made these memories have stayed the same, which can't be said about the places we'd hang out in person. Los Santos will always be in 2013, no matter what year we visit it in. One of the easiest ways to tell when a story is supposed to take place is by looking at the technology being used. If you see someone on a brick phone, it's probably the 80s. See someone with a fat white monitor? Probably the late 90s or early 2000s. See someone using a payphone? It's probably Maroon 5. Of course, not everyone wants to create a world that's stuck in a specific time period, so many movies, games, and TV shows refrain from using modern technology to keep their stories timeless. Grand Theft Auto, though, is all about that Windows Phone. I honestly could not remember what phone Trevor uses while writing this until I searched it up. Not to mention Franklin's sexy green Samsung and Michael's iOS mess that was dated immediately after release. Also, what the hell happened to cell phones? They all look the exact same now. Where are the sliding keyboards? Where are the obnoxious colors? Where are the options? Around the release of San Andreas, cell phones were just starting to boom, so they didn't play a big role in the game. By the time 4 released, cell phones and computers were everywhere, so Nico was given a cell phone for the sole purpose of making bowling appointments with his dear cousin Roman, and some other things that don't really matter. Also, Luis has a touchscreen phone, which gained prominence around the release of the base game. Only a few years later saw the release of GTA 5, and the world hasn't changed much since then. Now you have access to the World Wide Web on your cell phone, and there's actually quite a bit to do on here. You can invest in stocks, do some insider trading, buy a bow, a helicopter, whatever you really want, honestly. Cell phones and technology play a huge role in our everyday lives, so it was crucial for Rockstar to expand this historically minor feature. The computers, houses, and cars also help paint a picture of when the game took place, but they're not as precise as the cell phones alone. I'm sure in the future the cars in these games will look dated though. When the game was released, all of these products were new, but now they just give us an idea of what life was like almost 10 years ago. So by now, I'm sure you're probably getting your undies in a knot because movies and TV shows and literally everything else can provide a look into what the world was like before, you hairy handsome fool. Well, first, thank you. And second, I was literally just about to get to that, so can you please settle down? As opposed to movies and other media, video games are interactive. Yeah, you can quote me on that. We can point and laugh at George Costanza trying to switch the voicemail tape like a 90s caveman, but we ourselves can't truly experience yelling tippy-toe, tippy-toe as our plan falls apart. With the power of video games though, we can. I mean, not that specifically since there's no Seinfeld video game for whatever reason, but we could see what it was like to be in the year 2008.
Burger shot, buck, what's up?
Wow, what a time. Grand Theft Auto allows us to truly experience the time period each installment was released in. We're immersed in the pop culture and the trends of that time. The rise of reality TV and celebrity culture is on full display in GTA 5. There's even a page on the GTA wiki that explains who each in-game celebrity is a parody of. GTA 4 has Liberty City still recovering from the shock of 9/11, and the expansion packs allude to the economic crisis of the time. GTA San Andreas has, I don't know, gangs and Taco Bell? The point is, you yourself get to experience each time period firsthand. Want to browse the internet? Then get your ass to an internet cafe. Want to watch a movie that just released? Then get your ass to a movie theater. Want to play Wii with your grandma before she passes? Well, I'm afraid there's not much I can help you with there. It's very rare for a game to just let you experience a world so similar to our own, especially in such a specific time period. And I think it just gives the Grand Theft Auto series another layer of depth and significance. Video games are pretty much the closest thing we have to time travel as of right now. It amazes me how developers can create such immersive worlds that both capture the essence of their time and are just fun to explore. I've always been so intrigued by the idea of experiencing what another decade was like, so I can't imagine how surreal playing these games will feel in the future. I also don't think that these games can be made retrospectively. I think there is so much detail and tone that Rockstar puts into these games that we can only really notice in hindsight. Their use of modern technology and satire make these over-the-top worlds still feel grounded. Diving into a Grand Theft Auto game really feels like you're diving into another time, whether it's because of the immersive world or the memories you have with the game. Thanks for watching.